Mark Vergeer here. It's been quite a while since you've probably seen my face on a video, but I figured it's time to go check out some Xbox emulation, actually, that is, but I'll show you some Xbox things and why I actually opt to also use emulation apart from using my Xboxes, my real Xboxes. So here it goes. The Xbox and the Xbox 360 is actually a system that I have quite a few discs out for in my Billy bookcases. I tend to switch them out now. The Xbox 360 is out, now PlayStation 3 is out. Very little PlayStation 2. That has a reason. The Wii U, and some of the Evercade and 3DS. I have an Xbox Crystal. Oh my, where is it? Where is it? Oh my, I had an Xbox Crystal out. Oh, I packed it away, I guess. Whoops. Yeah, I tend to streamline my my consoles a bit. Just I don't want to have them out. Also, I love the old power bricks. They're actually a fire hazard when you're not using them and having them constantly plugged in. So I sort of rearranged the thing. This is my PC. I emulate a lot of stuff on there. I've got an Xbox 360 out, Xbox Series X, a PlayStation 3 Slim Wii U, PlayStation 5, an M1 Mac Mini, mini PC, another mini PC, a Switch, and a Ryzen mini PC. Over here, I've got a Mister, I've got a PlayStation 2, and an original Xbox, and an open source scaler. So I'm outputting that all on this TV. And yeah, let's go check out some Xemu emulation, actually, because actually that sort of makes me not turn on my original Xbox that much. So yeah, let's go check it out. It recently got a great update. Oh yeah, and perhaps just check out the room a bit more. I've got a new couch, which is this. It's from IKEA, and yeah, Lego orchid, Lego succulents, Lego space guy, a knitted cow, which is made by a friend, dear friend. So yeah, cool. Controllers, chargers, some DVDs that I tend to watch that are my favorites. Then over here, the Electric Adventures shelf. There's a lot of Electric Adventures games. Oh, this is a Lego PC that I recently built. Actually quite fun building this because it actually resembles building a real PC. Yeah, my Atari 2600 Darth Vader model. Some cards, and this below here is a reproduction. It's a Lego one, which actually has similar things going on, like this stick. Oh, yeah, that's my little nephew ripped off the cord, but yeah, I have to put it back. But yeah, it has actually the Rubik's Cube and the games and the Rubik's Cube. And these are some Star Trek and Lego things. And yeah, and there's a Mister setup over here as well, connected to the RGB. There's a mist going on, and I'm always switching out systems over here behind this, connected up over RGB SCART or composite video on the CRT. Yeah, basically that's it. Let's go check out Xemu. I'm booting my PC, and I'm actually using this Series X controller. I always open up these controllers. I get rid of the sticky stopping rubberized things that they put in. They have some sort of stopping mechanism for these shoulder buttons, and there's this rubberized stuff that gets sticky rather quickly actually within these, and they function well without that rubberized sticky stuff, because whenever you have a controller like this, even this special edition, it makes the trigger stick. So you depress it, and when you release it, there's just a bit of time that it just doesn't get unstuck, and that actually affects the gameplay. All controllers like these have it. So I open them up, take out the little rubberized pads, put them back together again, and they don't stick. And they work fine, because you know, you don't need how do you say that, a 6-month working, how would you say that, a prime feeling that just goes away very quickly, which actually leaves this controller to be feeling quite horrible. The D-pad is actually quite decent on these. So this and the PlayStation 4 controllers are actually controllers that I like to use a lot. So yeah, I'm gonna go switch on the screen capture and just go from there, and just capture some Xemu emulation footage. Microsoft Xemu. Oh, and now of course the sound probably is going through the Yeti speakers, but I want to have this. Yeah. So my Yeti microphone is also capturing the audio out on the TV. So let's go to one of my favorites, and that's actually Outrun. People will probably get sick of that, but Outrun is one of the games that, and I'm going to do internal resolution scale twice. Outrun is one of these games that really didn't want to work very nicely with Xemu. Full screen. Yeah. So let's see. I might actually have to go capture it with the NVIDIA. Not sure. So this is twice the screen resolution, and my screen is 1440 output. So this is the original Outrun, and it used to run at like 14 frames per second.
Dino 246
and now let's turn down the volume a tad. Now it's actually, well, I was checking that without capturing it with OBS, and actually this is the first time I'm actually capturing this with OBS at 4K or something like that. But yeah, you see that the frame times actually are quite consistent, and it actually runs at 60 frames per second, and it really feels quite smooth. There's micro stutters, but it's been heavily optimized. Last time I checked out Xemu, it was, well, about the same time that I made the last video on it. So that's actually, it has been a while. And it was one of these emulators that I just was keeping tabs on all the time, but sort of put it to the side a bit, because I just wanted to have the experience that I just had, like, hey, one of my favorite games is actually running quite decently on it, and which is amazing. And it's actually quite interesting to see that the original Xbox graphics upscale quite nicely. And yeah, capturing it with OBS, it does feel just a tad more micro. It's a bit smoother when you're not capturing it. It's all going towards the footage. Also is going to solid state storage, so no mechanical drives that are causing some issues. But yeah, this is actually a very consistent gameplay. And of course, I'm narrating, I'm looking at the frame rate, and I'm just looking at the screen without focusing that much on the gameplay. So yeah, whenever I do gameplay and talk, my gameplay suffers. I'm not the best multitasker, and yeah. So this looks amazing. This actually is the reason why I sort of don't turn on my original Xbox that much, because the games really look amazing upscaled. Even twice the original resolution, which pretty much is HD. So yeah, and when you upscale, it's the same with the other console generations. The polygons, the polygon parts, it upscales, but the bitmap graphics, like the timer and the score, it all remains quite blocky. But you know, that's okay. I don't mind that at all. It sort of makes it stand out a bit more, and it reminds you, whoa, will I? Oh no, just a meter in front of the, yeah. But this actually runs quite well. It was one of the outruns that wouldn't run quite well. So let's eject that and start the, oh yeah, and then of course then the dialogue. Yeah, that's. They should automatically bump it in front of it, but they don't, which is a thing. Let's do the coast to coast. Mind you, these are all my ISOs that I ripped myself. Yeah, I basically have my entire game room that is here, but also that is in storage in the eaves and in the attic and in the garage. Everything has been imaged and been made playable through emulation. I'm just fascinated by emulation because it also preserves and enhances the gameplay. Like I've got yeah, and I think now I remember I had the Crystal Xbox, original Xbox out, which is a PAL unit, and I wanted to have that capable of outputting component video at a high resolution, but the PAL units won't do that. You have to change the BIOS or BIOS settings, so I have to soft mod it, and yeah, it's in a bin somewhere. But yeah, these older Xboxes, they have like these time capacitors, storage units that tend to break and fail the unit, so you really have to get the soldering iron out and start working on these systems. Even systems as young as the original Xbox, you know, they tend to fail. Older systems, they even, you know, they even have more issues. Oh man, I've replaced my ColecoVision power buttons so many times. They have that power button of that system actually has 2 power circuits that it operates, and often one of them gets corroded, and often it's the one that provides power to the graphics system, so you get corrupted graphics when the system actually turns on. And for the longest time, I actually would rip off the laminated labels to get at some screws that you don't actually need to remove, because there's a different way of opening up the ColecoVision that I discovered after having to really work hard at not damaging those banners, those labels. After decades of opening them up and servicing them, I think Tony Electric Adventures actually showed in a video, opened one up, and I was just flabbergasted because I wasn't aware of that way of opening up the systems. But yeah, I tend to be a bit lazy. Our garage is also a hobby room, and my wife also has a lot of stuff going on there, so soldering projects out in the garage aren't always easy because of a lot of stuff that's actually going on there as well. So I tend to have my repair jobs stacked and stored in a closet in the garage, and I think my Coleco is there's actually a fair few systems that need servicing and repairing that I cannot play now. I have gotten rid of a lot of doubles to a collector right after COVID, because I just had so many systems double that it was just insane, and it was just infringing on the space, the living space. I just wanted to trim and slim it down. But the reason for me always having a lot of spares was the fact that I could dig out a working replacement if one of the systems fails. But now I've fewer systems, so if one fails, I need to repair it before I can play it again. So, but still, not being able to play your games when you want to play them is actually not nice. So I just went the emulation route. I have Mr. FPGAs, and I can emulate systems on the PC, like this emulator on my gaming rig. And what it also shows me is a glimpse into the future, because often now the systems will have failing capacitors and perhaps some broken traces and stuff. You know, stuff on the board with surface mount components or through hole components that are easily serviceable. But then you also have systems that have failing chips, like the CDI systems with the clock chip thing. I do have a CDI, I believe one of the 400 series, but that actually has a broken clock chip, and yeah, it doesn't work at the moment. And there's a way of repairing that. I've yet to do it, and now the Mister actually is on the verge of being able to actually play the CDI games, and you can actually emulate them on the PC. But it's not the same. I used to have all my systems hooked up. I used to have them hooked up, extra CRTs, switchable power banks and stuff. But I found the whole thing. The whole thing became very cluttered. A lot of cables going everywhere. There's people that actually do an excellent job of cable tying them and then having all sorts of intricate systems. but I don't. I just don't have the. I'm just changing out a lot of stuff all the time. So yeah. So I have my open source scaler on my LCD, which or OLED, no, QLED or something. Yeah, QLED. And I can hook up all sorts of older systems. I've got the CRT. I've got a few CRTs in the attic. I tend to bring out a system. I tend to hook up the Atari 2600, and then I'll just have a couple of weeks or even a couple of months that I'll just focus on the 2600 or the Coleco or the MSX or one of the systems that I've hooked up for real, and otherwise I'll just play the more modern systems that are hooked up or emulate on the PC or the Mister. And I'm actually quite a big fan of the Mister. I've got actually a fair few Misters over the years. There were various different ways of implementing RAM, hooking up low latency controllers and stuff, that I actually ended up with a lot of D10 Nano systems that actually got their own purpose. Well, yeah, this is something that on the original Xbox it needs to cache in the textures, and that is something that doesn't happen on the original Xbox, but it does happen in this emulator with this game, and it really stutters, and yeah, which is a bit of a letdown. It also happens when you don't upscale. It also happens when you upgrade the memory to 64. It doesn't do a lot or anything actually with commercial games, apart from perhaps enabling some debugging functions. But the original system only had 64, I believe, yes. But as you can see, the performance in these games is actually quite excellent, quite consistent. So I think the CPU emulation is the tricky thing. It's not a standard Pentium 3 emulation that is needed, because the Xbox, they had a Celeron running at 750, I believe, Celeron Pentium 3 like system, but with minor changes, so certain opcodes or certain timings would be different. So yeah, they have to implement that into the Xemu, the Xemu processor emulation library, and of course also the video calls, the graphics calls, because yeah, they're sort of DirectX like, and it's an NVIDIA GeForce like GPU that hasn't all the functions optimized yet, but they are actually quickly optimizing that. And I'm actually quite curious, because I believe Xemu is actually open source, and I wonder if it would be possible to use the graphics part, the NVIDIA emulation, to use that for retro PC, Windows XP, Windows 98 type of games, emulating those, because that would actually enhance the capabilities of these virtual machines quite tremendously, just to have a GeForce like compatible graphics card available, because Windows XP, even certain later versions, they actually worked quite well with the GeForce and NVIDIA cards, because the Voodoo 3 and the Voodoo 1, 2, those aren't the best for later DirectX games, Windows games. So yeah,
because we're getting to a point where even Windows games are becoming quite retro. And what I really find fascinating is the level of backwards compatibility that Windows 11, Windows 10 actually offer. I don't think it's possible to run 16-bit Windows applications anymore. That was possible on Windows XP and possibly even up to Windows 7 or something. But they did away. They did away with the 16-bit subsystem, and now everything has turned 64-bit. But quite a fair few older software titles, of course, are 32-bit. There's still support for that, and you can actually run 20-year-old games with ease on Windows, provided they adhere to, you know, proper DirectX calls and stuff. But yeah, DirectX is actually quite amazingly backwards compatible. So it's one of those systems that really has a great access to an older library of games. Of course, what is happening is that, for example, on Mac OS, that isn't the case. The older software, even Steam, on the newer Intel Macs, Steam with the new OS not supporting 32-bit applications anymore, Steam would not run many games actually that would actually run on an older Mac OS version, but not with the later ones that only supports 64-bit Steam or Steam with 64-bit games. So yeah, you do tend to want to have to go to emulation or emulation layers in order to still be able to play those older games. And of course, not all older games are, you know, in dire need of playing. The world will keep turning if you don't have access to these games, but yeah, I think emulation for people that actually grew up owning their games and not only streaming those is a way to preserve. Yeah, this also is a way to preserve everything, preserve access to those games. And it's actually quite fascinating because you can run emulators within emulators. You can actually run big emulator disks on the Xemu emulator that emulate classic games, and the emulator is actually optimized that much that you don't really experience a laggy situation that much, provided your Windows system is actually very optimized or has a fast graphics card. My screen is very low latency because it runs at 120 Hertz. Oops. The emulator, the Xbox emulator, I mean, you can run Genesis games and you can get high scores in shooters just as on the original hardware. There's very little lag. Of course, every emulation inception layer will add some delay or timing issues, but it's actually quite fascinating that emulation within emulation actually works. Theoretically it should, of course, because if the environment that is emulated is compatible enough, it should be compatible with the emulator within the emulator. So yeah, it's actually quite interesting how far down you can actually go into the emulation rabbit hole. I'm not sure what people have tried, but yeah, it's actually quite interesting to see that actually that sort of thing works. So provided we have means of storing the files and stuff, I'd say with emulation you don't really have to be very afraid to lose access to your games if you are a bit software savvy, I guess. So let's check out some other, and then reset. Yeah, this game actually, oh yeah, and what I also have is enabled is Xbox Live. There's Xenia, which is a replacement for Xbox Live. You actually have a specific installer that changes some settings to your Xbox settings, but basically quite a fair few games have online gameplay. They have stats, and they have all manner of oh, yeah, and of course there's this, oh yeah, this one. I'll show you some emulation. The big ass emulator disk, and we'll go into like NES for example. Now this curtain moving up would just fail, but they've reinvented or re-implemented the way. Let me see, Crisis Force. That's oh, Crisis Force actually is a tough game to run. It's a nice game. It's a Konami game. And it's a shooter that not many Europeans or Americans probably have seen on the NES. It's a great shooter. I've showed it before. But there's a little lag. But actually... it's playable. And actually, that's actually quite interesting to see that, you know, stuff like that happens. Let's restart. Basically, pressing the home button or the Xbox button, you get to restart the system, the emulator. Super Nintendo, Japan. Space Megaforce would be cool. I'm not sure if they... Super Aleste? Yeah, there you have it. Space Megaforce. Oh man, I remember SNES emulation on DOS. Time to take my meds. On DOS, unusual. But already, you know, showing certain layers and stuff, it was such an amazing thing to experience. But yeah, I mean, doing the transparencies and stuff, you know, this actually runs on my Xbox like this too. The Xbox was for some time, if you were able to soft mod it and run emulators on it, it would just be one of the most solid consoles for emulation. The thing where it fell flat back in the day was PlayStation and Nintendo 64, but all 16-bit stuff would actually be pretty decent. Amiga would be playable, Atari ST. PlayStation would not be full speed, and that's the reason why a few folk actually did something drastic. They put a 1.4 gigahertz Celeron into their systems, but there were compatibility issues because it needed a special BIOS, and it's not the same chip. It does have slight differences in timings and all sorts of manner things. But yeah, I mean, playing this on Windows, on an emulated Xbox, on an emulated Super Nintendo, and it sounds and looks just great. You know, it doesn't stutter. It's just playable. And I mean, it is an emulator. I mean, if you play this on the Mister, you'd be you really would know, but it's playable. You know. Oh yeah, I have to bring the controller into focus. Genesis. You know, this wouldn't run like last time I tried this. Sonic, of course, Sonic. Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic 1, Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic compilation. The French one. Sega. Yeah. Start button. Now, a lot of these compilation discs, these official compilation discs by M2, for example, they also use emulation, of course. But yeah, this just runs, you know. You can, oh, well, timing is perhaps a bit different, but also because it's running widescreen, you can alter that. But yeah, I mean, that is just insane, isn't it? Let me see if I, emulation-wise, have some... Neo Genesis. I'm not sure what that is. Let's go check it out. These are actually the discs that I was running on my original machine, but I also installed them onto the hard disk. I think this is just Mega Drive. Yeah. Select game. Virtua Racing. Not sure if it, yeah. We had 32X also on the Xbox, and it ran like this. If not smoother, you know. It's just weird. And some actually still consider the Xbox yeah, a very good way to eject disk and then restart. Let's quit out of that altogether and let's start it up again. Oh yeah, let's go check out Xenia Manager, a new version of Xenia Canary. Want to update it? Yes. And let's see, it's loading in the games. Yes. Updated to the last build. Now I have a huge Xbox library on Live, so everything that you see here I actually own on Live for real. So but yeah, it's not as compatible as Xemu is, but quite a fair few titles actually run well on it. What I found quite amazing, for example, is that Forza, I think Forza runs actually. So of course we have to make sure that the let's go, turn down the volume a bit, because the music in these games, single player, and the weird thing about this emulator is that what works really well, and if it doesn't work, it just doesn't work. You know, it's just insane. But I you know, when I got the Xbox Series X and Series S, and I I fell for the lies that they spun, that they would bring the entire library of Xbox to the Series X. You know, have the original Xbox and the 360, have that available. Well, that's not the case due to licensing issues and you know, and commercially it not being the success that they hoped. I think a very few people actually use the backwards compatibility on the Series X, but I do. I'm curious whether or not my I'm not sure why my input isn't registered. It could be that I have to set it in the Xemu Xenia manager. It might pop back. It might conk out. Yeah, let me see. Xenia settings. Full screen on. Internal display resolution. Yeah, just basic. Letterbox on, widescreen on, graphics, API, anti-aliasing, general settings, input settings, input system, X input. Yeah, I like that. That would work. Settings have saved, home, and yeah, it has to load in a ton of games. You can actually soft mod your Xbox or not, actually, because what you can do is actually put a disk in your 360 and opt to install it to hard drive. But you can actually have a USB hard drive or a USB drive connected to it. So what you can actually do is then, within the user interface of the 360, move to the external drive, and that bit of software you can actually, those files you can actually use in Xenia as the software that you want to run. So basically, these are games that I just moved to an external drive temporarily and copied them off and just put them back on my hard drive. But yeah, and in Xenia there's a setting that you can actually enable the licensing. Let me see, what is a game that I want to try? I'm not sure if that actually works, but I would be surprised. I'm not sure, but Devil May Cry, it's a great game, and it's an Unreal game, and that's also quite a good thing, because quite a fair few of the games that actually use a very known engine. Yeah, let's just do human. No. If one of them works, often others work also quite good, because, well, if the engine is supported, then games that run these engines are actually also supported. So that's a good thing about these newer systems. Yeah, sure. And I remember this game being actually quite, how do you say that, quite graphically intensive. And I think these are actually in-game graphics. Oh yeah, there's this scene. I don't wanna have spoilers. Of course, it's not perfect. Xenia on its own actually isn't very user friendly, and if you want to use digital downloaded things, you can't really very easily. Halo Evolved Anniversary. So there's a compatibility database thing going on. Yeah, I just loved Halo. Halo was the game, was the reason for me to actually campaign. Oh, and there's issues going on. You'll see. You know, lettering is disappearing, and there was stuff going on with the textures. Yeah. Last time I tried this, it also wasn't working. So let's move back to Xemu, because Halo on Xemu actually works. Back to Halo Combat Evolved. Video, and then full screen. Gregorian chanting. I quite liked it. It actually was quite popular for a while back in the 90s. It got combined with tech, with the beat even. I'm not sure if people remember, but yeah. So yeah, this scene was also the scene that we just saw on the 360, but yeah, far less compatible. This actually has bumped up quite a fair bit. Especially because a fair few games actually now run full speed that weren't. They were classified as playable, but you know, I don't consider 14 frames per second playable. But yeah, 30, 60. Yeah, I think this generation also had a lot of games that actually ran at 30 frames per second, also the 360. So this would not be 30 frames per second earlier. So this 30 frames per second is actually what it runs at. So,
Chief, please look around the room. I need to get a calibration reading for your battlesuit's diagnostics.
okay, we'll look around.
Good. Thank you, sir. I'm bringing your health monitors online, sir. Vital signs look normal.
I think the sound is actually quite excellent.
Okay, sir. Go ahead and climb out of the cryo tube.
So yeah, I've put this in widescreen in the BIOS,
I gave you a double
but
dose of the wake-up stiff.
this is stretched out, isn't it?
Diagnostic station when you're ready.
I think they want me to use no, the other one, the optical diagnostics. This one. It's a very nifty way of actually checking whether or not you want inverse y-axis.
But we're short of time, Chief. Just look at each of the flashing panels to target them.
Yeah.
When you lock on, it'll change color.
So,
Okay, that looks good. Sir, I'm getting some calibration.
yeah, calibration error. Just change it around a bit.
So you can see if you like it better that way. Try charging the flashing
Whoa.
light. Is that better, or should I switch it back?
Try it the other way.
Okay. Try looking up and down again.
Yeah, I just wanna
Like that, or switch it again?
leave it like it is. I don't. You know, there was a time when I wanted to have the plane steering, but that was because I was flying around. If I fly around, I want to have the inverse thing. But if I'm looking around, I just want to have the right thumbstick indicate where to move. Games like this, you know, they have surface reflection, and they've bump mapping.
Okay, sir. Look
So
at
the
this.
textures are less flat.
Okay, bring his energy shields online, please. Okay, sir. Bring them down to test the
This was just so much the game to have. I don't think there's a comparable game on the PlayStation 2. Captain Keyes wants the Master Chief.
Skip the weapons diagnostics and I
Oh, and now you see this horrible scene where this dude, he helped you and
weapons later. Okay.
he'll...
Good idea. You better get to your evac group, Sam.
Yeah, and Sam is just... I don't know, he doesn't have any defense reflexes. He's just standing there. He just... Bloody hell. Yeah, Sam's dead. Sam's dead. Oh gosh, and now you die as well. Boom! Oh bloody hell, this is too much. I'll get out of this game because it's just too much for my poor soul to handle. Oh, death and destruction all around in these video games. Oh man. Yeah. Okay, what else? Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. That also would struggle a bit, I believe. This is exactly the same. This is one of these multi-platform games. I think you wouldn't be able to tell whether you'd run it on a GameCube, an Xbox, or a PlayStation 2. But upscaled? Yeah, and you know, I tend to go for the dwarf. I mean, I'm 6'7" or something like that, and I tend to go for the dwarf almost all the time in this game. Not sure why. So, skip a bit of the narrative, but yeah, this would not be 60 frames per second. Now it is. So I guess, and also visually, there's things going on like reflecting and special things, you know, special filters and stuff, and effects that weren't there. So yeah, the optimization of this bit, a lot of this is stuff that really needed to be optimized for the emulator to actually run at decent speeds, I think, but yeah, but this actually works. And it's actually quite fun. Let's go check out one of these racing games. Burnout. Burnout? Was it Burnout? Yeah, Burnout. So the original Burnout, also a multi-platform game. You would not be able to make a distinction really which game you play, which system you played on. So I, for quite some time, I wanted to have all these games on all the different platforms and just see if there would be any differences, and there really would not be any differences. What I like about these games is actually the sense of speed and the fact that you have real traffic that you just need to weave through, and with the game just running a solid 60 frames per second, it's actually it works like it's supposed to work, So like, yeah, you can actually do weird stuff like that. You are in control. And if it's if the emulator is just inconsistent in speed, there's no way you'd be able to do it. So for the games that run, and Xemu actually runs the games well now. well enough actually to have a superior experience on the emulator compared to the original system. Eject disk to some extent. Let me see. Oh yeah, they need to, you know, in the full screen they should actually have the file dialog pop up in front of it instead of behind it. Let me see. All my games. DTM Race Driver, Director's Cut. No. Fable Lost Scripture. Gauntlet, Great Escape, Harry Potter. Yeah, perhaps the Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit. And I really have to turn down the volume because I don't want to have the music destroy it. But yeah, the Need for Speed games run well as well. And this actually is one of my favorites. And let's go to options, menu volume, music volume. I'm safe. I can turn it back on. Do the Hot Pursuit and just go to the first Elise delivery. Do the red one. Now I have turned it on to widescreen. I think it does widescreen, but the I don't know, it may be stretched out too much, but if you are a purist, you can always turn it back to 4:3 aspect ratio. But this game also, it feels that you're in control in very much the same fashion as you are in control on the real system. So basically, you know, running this at twice the resolution, you can just, yeah, you really get the feel of the car. You can skid around, you know, you can really do the same things, the same reflexes as you have on the original hardware. If you know, if the emulator is inconsistent in speed, or you know, there's frame drops, often you would not be able to do this because it just feels wrong. What's also implemented is force feedback, so you get rumble. And if I turn on my original Xbox, even through the open source scaler, it looks blurry. And I mean, the original Xbox, it's a system that you really want to play on a CRT, because the games on a CRT, the lower resolution can look crystal clear if you use SCART RGB. But this, whoops. Yeah, I'm skidding. It's not that I have perfect gameplay. The main difference I feel playing the game now is actually that you get to escape the cops, whereas on with the emulator not running full speed, or you know, at an inconsistent frame rate, these cops would just remain on your tail, just, you know, indefinitely. You would just, it would not make the games very enjoyable. And now you really get to go away, because you can actually have perfect driving lines and just, you know, minute breaks, and it allows you to be so precise that you can actually use the game mechanics to just he says crashing into a car, but yeah, you get the drift. Catch the drift, I guess. Just very tight cornering. There's just no way he's gonna overtake you then. It's a fun game. I really like this game. Yeah. It's not improved, but you know, I did it again. Let's classic knockout. Why not? Just to show you how well this actually runs. I also think Most Wanted, because that actually is a game that has a lot of graphical fancy things going on, and it's still not perfect, that one, but it runs very well. Project Gotham Racing still has issues, I think. Yeah, it's all very red, what is it, yellow and brown. But yeah, this just feels like you play it on the PlayStation, you know, it's and despite it not actually being full 60 frames per second, but it's just more consistent. He says when he's no, you can't. Well, hopefully they'll crash into the other vehicles. This game has a lot of fake, how do you say that? Fake vistas, because sometimes you'd see a bit of road and you think, I'm gonna get drive there, but then that's just this inaccessible bit or a bend that's not a bend from in your road, but something that just weird perspective from another bit of road. Yeah. Yeah, let's not. Okay, let's go for yeah, busted. Load disk, and then flip to the front. Oh, let's get rid of Xenia. This one, and then a need for speed, Most Wanted. That one. Now I have to turn down the volume again to check whether or not. Yeah, she's Mia. Need for Speed, and I've got to get rid of the game music. Let's see, options, audio, interactive music is off, game music, music like so. No, and then apply, I guess. Yeah. Hopefully I'm not. Okay, so let's go to the challenge series. Time trial. Oh yeah, let's do the time trial. Auto. Now there's lighting effects and there's that aren't fully implemented yet. You'll see. On a CRT, this just looks amazing. It looks real, and it has a lot of fancy effects like the mist and the smoke. oh yeah, this is something new. The sound is a bit scratchy in this one. It didn't used to be scratchy, but now it is. So it's faster. I guess it's because more fancy graphical trickery was introduced. Yeah, some small regressions, I guess. Yeah, this game has this slightly inconsistent feel still. So it doesn't feel like you're playing it on the real hardware. It's very, very subtle, but it's very playable. But yeah, the other games that I showed you ran a solid 60 frames per second, and this just. It could also be that it does feel a bit floaty on real hardware also. And you can see the environmental mapping actually not making any sense because there isn't any sky in the now there is a bit of sky, but so yeah, basically Need for Speed is what Need for Speed always is, outrunning the cops and just be very fast. Yeah, the new Hot Pursuit actually is quite nice. But for a long time this was actually Hot Pursuit. There's a Hot Pursuit game on the 360, which basically is the same game, you know, from this weird cross-generational era where a game would come out on the old system but also on the new system. Was that a police car that just sort of crashed? So yeah, you can actually see this doesn't run full speed. Yeah, with this with the light of the sun and stuff. So yeah, this is a game that let's check out. I might actually have it on Xenia Manager. Is it running or there it is. Let me see. Need for Speed. I have the game. Yeah, I did rip it. Let's turn down the volume. So yeah, of course, the big difference from the Xbox original one was that this was a HD 720p. Start to begin. It seems that I have tried this. Options, audio, off. Already did. Okay. So let's go to the Trials Challenge series. Pursuit length. Okay, I want to evade the police for at least 1 minute. And I have no idea whether or not it's loading something or that it hangs. Okay, we can show it. Yeah. What else? Does it run? Let's see. The compatibility loads, but it may be unplayable. Just test out the first, I guess.
Hi, I'm
Nia from Need for Speed. I play Mia Need for Speed. Yeah. Load in my profile because the challenge series, that one might work. Or it may not. And this probably will be something for a lot of people. Just to not bother with emulation, because you know, you're never sure whether or not it's fully compatible. Yeah, I don't think it'll work, but yeah. Perhaps time for some closing comments. Yeah, Xemu has really progressed into a much better emulator in such a way that it actually, and it's like 0871. And Live Arcade starter discs, yeah. Let's see. No. No. Forza. Had this weird double. No. Forza. This weird, yeah, double disc. I'll show you at the end. I'll show you some. Xbox Xenia connectivity and closing remarks. I think Xemu is becoming a good replacement for the original Xbox, because it runs more games than the actual Xbox. My games. Signing in. Let's do a bit of Miss Pac-Man, because I always like Miss Pac-Man. And options. We can go to the live options and sign in. Oh, and let's go full screen, because why not? Leaderboard overall, my score. I'm 83 of all the people that are on there, and I'm not sure how many people there are on there, but yeah, I'm my only friend. So if others would like to join the Xenia one player, let's see. With Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, I prefer Miss Pac-Man over the original, because I think the original, you know, being the same screen over and over again, despite the fact that the behavior of the ghosts changes and stuff, it's just too static for me. It's just too repetitive, but still an iconic game. But when Miss Pac-Man came out, I got it on my Commodore 64 and I just played the heck out of it. And for some reason, it did allow me to actually get quite good at the arcade machine as well. So possibly, yeah, and not anymore, by the way, because it tends to sort of go away when you're not playing as much as you used to. But Yeah, this is a weird version with squashed graphics. There's a Miss Pac-Man on the Nintendo 64 in a compilation that looks strikingly similar, so I guess that's the same reprogrammed thing that they use. And perhaps in the background there is arcade code running, I'm not sure, but it does feel like a reprogram of some sorts. Oh yeah, and the intermissions, the interludes, also quite good and fun and entertaining to see the love story between Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man evolve. And I was quite surprised by one of the later intermissions, because yeah, they kiss and they get a little kid. So that made me want to play Pac-Man Jr., of course. I find this the toughest maze for some reason. I guess because there's many bits where you can get caught. There's lengthy bits of maze where you can get caught in at without being able to get free. And for some reason, the ghosts, they tend to catch up with you in this level much quicker than the other levels. So it might be a bit of a balancing thing, but actually that's the case in almost every Miss Pac-Man version that I've played. So I guess it may just be the design of the maze. But yeah, this is what became quite a nice thing on the 360, the Xbox Live Arcade, where you can actually quickly meet up with, let me see, go back to menu, arcade menu, yes. Mutant Storm. That's available on the PC also, on Steam I believe, also on the 360. Pom-Pom Games. Let's see, there's this live arcade leaderboard. Let's sign in, because I'm not too shabby at it actually. Well, twin stick shooters are a bit of my thing. Let me see, this is the overall, and I'm number 19 overall, which doesn't suck, I think, but you know, there may not be too many people playing, so yeah, let's play a bit of that. Yeah, and you know, your score and your multiplication really gets higher when you do it very quickly. And if you are like slower, that also doesn't help. So yeah, speed and completing. Yeah, 1800 or above most of the time will get you, 18 will get you a high score, higher regions. The thing is that these screens are always the same, just like Geometry Wars, so you really get to learn the patterns, or just the best ways to deal with them. And if you've played this a lot, you can actually win new screens as well, you know, just because of the mechanics and you know what you need to do. But yeah, me narrating and playing at the same time will just screw up my high scores. And I found this to be one of the most pretty looking twin stick shooters. Just because it's so abstract, psychedelic. You would almost think this was a game by Jeff Minter, but it's actually too tame for a game by Jeff Minter. Yeah. So that will be 27. Yeah, that was a fast one. Yeah, but this basically is pretty much full speed. So you do get the oh yeah, it's just a matter of these walking bits. You tend to go for them, but you shouldn't, because it's the other guys that actually you need to worry about. It's ×2. Yeah, but these were just yeah, downloadable games or downloadable keys. These actually show you what will happen with live games if the servers were not available anymore, because at some point in time I lost access to this because you couldn't transfer the keys to a different console, so they were basically tied to the system, tied to your login. They didn't think people would have multiple Xboxes actually, so and with the Xemu and you can actually have this on more than one system using this login. Yeah, this is taking too long. Yeah, like half what's possible with this. This also is a good way to check whether or not the graphics are rendered correctly, because this actually uses a lot of weird graphical, you know, fancy pants. Effects that if there's any weird thing not being emulated, you'd see it, or you'd think it's just a part of the weird screen effects. But if you know the game and know what it's supposed to look like, actually this is also a game that allows you to just see how far emulation of special effects has progressed. And a lot of the things that are implemented are actually full speed now. So this emulator is progressing faster than it has been for quite some time. But yeah, it's I've actually played Forza online, and it actually works. You can have Outrun, you can play Outrun online, but yeah, there's not many people playing it. But if others are actually want to be on Xenia, you can, and then you can actually on Xemu, you can actually or on a real one, on a real system, you can actually run these older games multiplayer. Also, what people did was actually voice chat also works. I'm not that keen on the online bit, at least only with friends, people that I'm familiar with. Actually, I just don't. I think I'm just too introvert. Yeah, this is also taking too long. I'm completing it, but yeah, like a quarter of the time that I normally do. But isn't this looking gorgeous? And I believe, yeah, these turn into cannons, so it's best to just destroy them. But yeah, this is Berserk. And Geometry Wars and everything thrown together. This is just, you know, this is my cuppa. Twin stick shooters, that's just, yeah, I really like those. Yeah, and they get respawned, I'm not sure. I'm getting too slow for these, so I guess I'm nearing the thing where what I normally play. So a ton of these little critters. Ah! Yeah. Oh yeah, and I was supposed to take my meds and I didn't. So that's also happening. Let's quickly go grab the med. Like so. Otherwise I'll dip. Resume game. Yeah. This emulator gets out of focus fairly easy. So the input for your controller just goes away the moment your mouse moves, which is actually bloody irritating. So the file dialog disappearing behind the full screen, if the emulator is full screen, and the focus on your controller just disappearing. If you touch your mouse for a bit. Yeah. Ah, game over. Highest belt achieved. I'm not sure. I'll still be at 19 probably. Yeah. So yeah, but it's actually quite an incentive to keep playing it. And it's actually very nice that this has been restored to a playable state. And I'll leave with a bit of Bejeweled. I still play this on my phone and on my iPad. Switch live options. Sign in. I'm not sure actually if I rank anywhere. What I absolutely love about this game is also the music. And let me see, sorting options. Kim Possible, yes, she's not a friend yet. I saw that she was on, so I sent a request. But number 73. Let's go normal. And yeah. it really takes some sort of mindfulness not to screw it up, because you really don't want to. Yeah, I need to get rid of this. You don't want to miss out on all the bonuses. Because if you do it correctly, you'll have a ton of subsequent bonuses that just keep on like that. Game over? Oh, level up. I usually get a game over fairly quickly. And I get praise now. Okay. I tend to play this in endless mode. It does increase your skills. You'll see what is coming. It's just not... how do you say that? It's just not, oh yeah, I see there this combination, let's do it, and just go for that. No, you just have to be more strategic. And good players will probably see me make a lot of mistakes where, you know, possible sequences will be missed forever. But that's just the way it goes. This is so late 90s, early 2000s, this. And I think games like this, these same games, it really holds up well. Candy Crush basically is very similar to this. It's not new. What also is quite interesting is there's games that have implemented RPG elements into this puzzle game, and also a story, you know, and ranking up, unlocking special abilities, which actually increases the gameplay quite a lot. Yeah, and I'm just a sucker for colorful pictures, images. Yeah, this might not end well here, but we'll see. Yeah. I'm not sure what type of music you would call this. Electronica or... Always go for the options where you get the best. Oh, I was going for a 4, but there was a sequence that that was lame, because now I missed the one on the red now, so if you go for multiples, you'll be able to continue playing. So go for the combinations, and usually that entails constantly looking up and down on the screen to see whether or not you have opportunities to form these sequences that just have those gems crashing down on you. Yeah, not doing here well here. It's really weird that sometimes you just don't at all see where you're supposed to go, so I'm gonna press the Y. There. And that's not good, you know, have this single option on the top of the screen, because there's few combinations, yeah, and then it's like no more moves, and then you're game over, man! Done. 73. I don't think I've progressed much. How many people are actually playing? $123. Okay, so it's not like a time trial. What is this? So I guess you just get a very limited amount of time to just complete this. It's probably fair. So if there's no more moves, you'll probably get rewarded in new board. Different music. I like it. Level up. No, this one. 4. Oh, 5. In later games you'd have special bonuses, and here it's just more points, or yeah. So the Bejeweled 2, that's one I play the most actually. That has a fair few decent bonuses that make it really interesting to level up. And the original with the game over is actually quite frustrating, because that actually happens quite a fair bit. So yeah, how's this for fantastic, enticing gameplay? Playing Bejeweled. It must be thrilling, adventurous, and highly action-packed. Oh, I mean, Bejeweled is an action-packed game actually, but it might not be the most watchable one. Yeah, I like the music a lot. Oh yeah, I missed. Oh, nice. So yeah, you do get quite a big, huge bump in your timer. And on further levels, the timer just runs down very, very quickly. So you really have to get your combinations in. That's the best way to play this. I have all these stones cascading down. And just use very little time. Yeah, that's 4. Level up. Let me see. So yeah, basically when you have stuff to get rid of at the bottom of the screen, just go for that, because that opens up the area above. But do alternate your attention between the two, as to not miss great opportunities for a cascade above, because you know, if you are able to clear the above area with a great cascade, That's good as well. Almost as good as one of the lower areas, but yeah, just keep your focus going on the entire screen. And you do get a sense of what is coming when you do that, because you'll find the patterns of yeah, it's like checkers. You'll see where something will open up. I'm not doing the best here, but yeah, this one. Yeah. Like so. Excellent. The dude's quite happy. Excellent. Oh. Yo. Ah. 4. Level up. Yeah, in small groups, I usually am one of the better gamers, but worldwide, no. There's people who invest way more time into their gaming, and well, basically they're better. But it does show you that you can be a bit above average, I guess. Oh, on this one, on this one, on this one. Oh, that one. Yes. Oh. It's fun. You can play it with the stick, but I tend to just click around with the D-pad because that's something that probably it moves around faster if you do it like that. But we can try. We can give it a go, but it's less precise. Yeah, the timer really goes down fast. So you really need to be constantly getting rid of those blocks. And have combinations going all the time, because if you don't, the timer just runs out quite quickly. So I guess adopting the analog stick to just move around the screen is actually necessary in order to keep up with the... Oh, that was interesting. Some sort of autoplay feature. Oh, I missed out on a big one there. That was stupid. Yeah, it's really weird how your senses can just focus on one color and just don't see the other combination. So you really have to sort of not focus on one particular thing. You know, if you see a combination coming up, just keep it in your head, but don't focus on it too much, because otherwise you won't be able to see the other stuff that is needed to be seen. Yeah, and often there's double possibilities going on, that if you don't see both options, you'll lose. Oh, now I focused on the diamond a bit too much, but it was alright. Oh yeah, that's good. These are actually quite known tracks. This track, that's, you can actually it's in other games as well. So yeah, now it goes down quickly. Where's the... You get totally blind. The moment you get anxious, you start missing things, and you just your mind just isn't open enough to observe and see what the possibilities are. The possibilities of losing or winning are substantially diminished if you get frightened. Yeah, or if you just can't focus. Excellent, yeah. Yeah, just what happens now if it goes down so fast that you end up going for the things that you see, and you miss out on the things that are possible subsequently. So you tend to just, you know, the moment you just drop off, you'll lose. Even if you clear the board or there's no more moves, it's actually quite difficult to come back. Not always. If you make your combinations. Just keep on going. Yeah, I'm not zooming it quickly enough, so it's gonna go. No, it's not dropping down. I'm not very lucky with the Borzine. Yeah, just don't mind the bar that runs down. Just don't, you know, just forget about that and just focus on gaming. Yeah, I might still have a chance, but it's probably the last level that I'll beat. Oh, okay, I still have a go. I need combinations because these normal ones aren't cutting it. Let's widen the playing field a bit. I need to open it up. I need to have more possibilities coming in because... Oops. Yeah, and also vertical clearance also helps instead of horizontal. But also change that around because... And you are faster when moving the cursor around with the analog stick. But you tend to overshoot, but yeah, you get used to that. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. I'm just too slow. Oh, lucky bastard. No. I'm barely holding on. Where? Yeah. The one. It's probably gonna go normal moves on us. Yeah. Game over! Let's see how far I got. Oh, that's not bad actually. Okay, so 8. Yeah, there's not many people playing it, but you know, yeah. Okay, well, Mark signing off, and I'll be back with another video soon. And this is the emulation emulator. This is my system. It's quite a beefy system. Yeah,